What can kill you but you are doing it every day? This happened to a friend of mine a few years back. They came back from the bar and he went upstairs while she was downstairs cooking them up some noms. She heard a crash and thud and found him with his skull split open, smashed and bleeding everywhere at the bottom of the stairs. Had wounds bleed like crazy, man. We all helped her move out of her place as quick as she possibly could. It isn't good for anybody to stay in the same domicile your partner just died in a horrible accident in, you know? Shit was rough for a while. I think about this sometimes when I'm stupid drunk, high and just instead ask my sober friend to get me the random thing I need from downstairs. I've since moved to a new area from where that accident was, so these friends didn't have to see the blood stain on the floor as we helped her move. So they don't get it all, but they are good friends. So they still take care of me when I ask for help, even if they think it's weird. Yup, learned my lesson the hard way. Wooden staircase and I was upstairs. I heard my phone go off downstairs. I ran to grab it in cotton socks. About 2 steps down and my feet slid out from under me, and thankfully I slid down the stairs on my back. I had to take 2 weeks off work because of the pain, but thankfully nothing permanent. Also had a close friend die in Texas. Not too much is known of what happened, but she was likely drunk and slipped. Her fiancé came home from work around 11 p.m. and found her at the bottom of the staircase with her head split wide open, unconscious, and a shattered bottle of wine. Who knows how long she had been laying there. She died a couple days later in hospital. So sad. She was one of my best friends and the sweetest person you can imagine. I almost fell running into a subway to catch a train, not a sandwich, lol. In South Philly late for work, but luckily I was able to grab the handrail and some big guy behind me was nice and close enough to grab my collar and help keep me up, lol. That was a close one and would have been bad. Those stairs are concrete. I almost had an accident carrying a heavy cooler filled with drinks down like 3 steps not too long ago. Maybe wasn't deadly, but I sprained my ankle pretty badly. I've made sure to walk very carefully going up and down stairs. I don't have the best luck with them, lol. This should be at the top. My therapist likes to remind me how horrible stress is for humans and that it's taking time off my life, which stresses me out. So I'm stressed about stressing too much, which also means I'm stressed about everything else even more because life is hard. I've resigned myself to dying early as a result and eating goldfish crackers whenever I feel like it because it brings me joy. I wish you luck with your stress. I hope you have lots of joy too. I felt this so much. Went to a therapist about my anxiety. She asked me, have you ever considered you have an appropriate amount of anxiety for the amount of stressors in your life? Well, fuck me. How is that helpful? ? So here I am, with even more stressors than before, swimming in anxiety and migraine pain. Thank God I have love and supportive people in my life, or I would be well and truly fucked. I did 10 years as a messenger. The stuff I did on a bike would make the average person's jaw drop. It's wild what you're willing to do when you get comfortable enough. Cars 2 inches away on both sides didn't even make me flinch. Even worse, half of that was on a brakeless fixed gear. I'm glad I got out of that, mostly, unscathed. Fun job, but wow, do you have to make some terrible and dangerous decisions if you want to make any semblance of money. Definitely worse than airplanes. Not many air deaths happen compared to motor vehicle related. Don't know about boats, but I definitely don't know someone who's died in a boat accident other than a family's dad's family friend who got lost at sea and died or something. It doesn't seem super common to me. Meanwhile though, 3 people I went to high school with have died in a car. The worst of all forms of transport. You're relying on people with little to no supervision following made-up rules to keep between painted lines in the hopes nobody screws up, makes a mistake and hits someone else. In addition, all other forms of transport are regulated and have to get pretty much anything and everything, navigation-wise, approved by 36 layers of red tape and write up reports on literally everything they do. When you're held accountable like that, you do a lot less dangerous shit. But seriously, invest in good shoes for walking. I started doing 5 miles every weekday and I tried to get by with a couple cheap pairs or even random Costco finds and they just don't cut it. I ended up with aches and pains. Finally decided to stop being my frugal self and got a legit pair, and the aches and pains are gone, and the benefit I get from my morning walks is enormous. It's extremely variable for your own personal foot. I would recommend going into a good running or walking shoe store if you're comfortable with the indoor interaction and getting a salesperson to help you choose. When I was running 70+ miles a week, I really liked the ASICS GT2000S and Kaynos, but now that I'm walking a lot instead, 60+ miles, but lower impact and all that, I'm really enjoying the Adidas Ultra Boosts, but also the ASICS Infinities, though those are a bit heavy. I also tried Nike, Saucony, Brooks, tons of shoes before I landed on the right one. In all that time though, consulting someone that knew shoes and actually used them for their intended purpose was a huge help in choosing. Such a vicious cycle. Being sober sucks sometimes, but I do savor when I manage not to drink for an extended period and actually feel somewhat happy. Edit. Thanks to all who've offered their advice in similar situations. Honestly, it's just a symptom of a bigger problem I need to deal with. Seek out help for existential crisis, being mid-30s and the world only seems to be getting shittier, etc. Props to those who've addressed it head-on and overcame it. Our local homeless shelter doctor has a neat protocol for those who don't want medically supervised detox but want to cut down. She asks them to delay the first drink by an hour later each week. Guys that were drinking first thing upon waking can ease slowly into not starting until dinner, and then cut down from there. Yeah, it's a lot to put onto someone who is daily drinking, and harder, slower and more dangerous than medical detox. But I respect the ingenuity of finding a plan to meet them where they are, and she's had quite good success in the last 3 years of actually getting some of them sober and housed. If it helps motivate you, I can explain what dying from alcoholism is like. It's probably one of the single worst ways to die as your body shuts down. Edit. It will be a bunch of simplified, possibly wrong stuff, and I am no expert. This was written with thumbs. Alcoholism carries significant physical risks. Addiction is always a psychological problem which requires treatment in a dedicated alcohol rehab facility. A Google search will direct you to local help better than I can. TLDR, end-stage alcoholism is the most destructive. By the time you die, it's probably a mercy, but it won't be for the people who ultimately find you. These are just some of my experiences. I'm the son of 2 alcoholic parents. My dad has been recovering for over 20 years now. The woman who gave birth to me is still very much an alcoholic. We don't talk. I've seen it in person, grew up with it. I saw the residents of a military retirement village at the Class 6. That's the name of liquor stores on base. The Friday crowd hunched over and shuffling with 2 overflowing cartloads of beast, each, to make it through the weekend. Due to the horrible disease and the antisocial behavior that comes with it, you reach the end-stage alcoholism after years of alcohol abuse. At this point, people who have spent years drinking may have developed numerous health and mental conditions in addition to their alcohol abuse. The individual may have isolated themselves, lost their job, or damaged major organs in the body. Another consequence is the risk to their overall health as the organs shut down. Here's what happens once everyone is gone. Someone complains about how the smell is overpowering and they find you. What will be found is a shriveled body on the ground covered in feces, urine, vomit, and other body fluids. Skin has been sloughing off. Google that one with care. There is a trail of human waste from your bed to your bathroom. You stopped cleaning and bathing a long time ago. No one comes by anymore. It's been a long time since you have seen anyone that's not the guy at the checkout. Cans are everywhere. But you quit drinking cans a long time ago too. It's bottles now, large plastic ones. There's a reason nurses and doctors can prescribe shot glasses of whiskey when someone is in the hospital for something unrelated. Racked with pain is how they describe it in the simplest terms. It's possible you have been doing some shoplifting while you still had strength. In the end, your body has gotten so jaundiced and your liver is wrecked with cirrhosis. If they were to look in, It would be just a mass of scars. It's possible that you developed hepatitis. Your liver can no longer process your body's waste along with the hundreds of other super important things it does. You are constantly defecating on yourself. You stopped eating a while ago and your brain is suffering from dementia, no longer having strength to walk to the bathroom. You tried crawling for a while. What ultimately ended your life probably doesn't matter. It is the most horrific way to die. Yup, frown, late 20s here and would drink on and off here and there in binges. During COVID it hit bad and have been drinking a lot this last year. I'm going in for ultrasounds and blood tests to make sure I'm okay. I'm on day 5 of no drinking right now and don't want to look back. I hope I didn't mess up anything, but I'm at the point where I don't want to make it worse. Driving. I drive for a living and I cannot believe the stupid fucking shit people will do on a freeway. It's insane and honestly it's almost killed my sympathy for people who get into car accidents, cause I can't help but wonder if the person involved was doing something dumb. The only thing that lets me hang on to it is knowing that even if that were true there could have been other people driving safely that were hurt as well. Stop driving like fucking idiots, people. It's not just your life you're putting in danger. At least you care about learning how to drive well. Yes, you'll screw up as you learn, but you actually want to get better. Most people who create dangerous situations clearly just don't care whether they're putting themselves or other people at risk. That's what's so frustrating to people who drive professionally. It's a willful and reckless disregard for safety in favor of, what? Getting somewhere 30 seconds faster than the GPS predicts. Taking out aggression? I still don't know. I had a patient once, took an unknown quantity of drugs that ended up with him forgetting to eat for about 2-3 days. He came into hospital with good going dehydration and pancreatitis. The first meal he was allowed to eat he got the steak, thought fuck using a knife and ended up literally biting off more than he could chew. Went into respiratory arrest until someone used some forceps and a laryngoscope and took out essentially a whole steak from his throat. Sue that, I suppose? Taking insulin. I'm a type 1 diabetic. Sometimes I run out of insulin before my insurance will cover my next box. So I buy cheap Walmart insulin. Some of this stuff is not safe. It has a small chance to not be absorbed and become highly poisonous. The name of this phenomenon is dead in bed syndrome. Edit. Just wanna say I really appreciate all the support that you guys are giving. I didn't expect my sob story to get so much attention and sympathy. It means a lot. That's not quite the explanation I found. https://www.diabetes.co.uk/diabetescomplications/dead-in-bed-syndrome.html. It's not that the insulin is not absorbed and becomes poisonous, but that you're more likely to have hypoglycemia and unawareness with the old human insulin, as compared to newer insulins, and a severe hypoglycemic episode in the night coupled with no awareness of what's happening is a recipe for death. On another note, if you're running out of insulin early, ask your doctor to update your prescription to more closely match or slightly exceed the amount of insulin you are actually using. If you use a sliding scale and carb ratio, your doctor should include the max number of units per day you use, on average. My girlfriend is a type 1 diabetic. We have been together for 5 years. This is a nice thought, but I have regularly had her hand me the phone to argue with her healthcare provider because they refuse to give her more than a certain amount of insulin per prescription. With her old health insurance company, you could get as much as you needed. If you were going on a lengthy vacation without access to their pharmacies, for example, her company switched and now she can only get 1 vial of slow-acting insulin per month. If she runs out she'd die, and depending on her hormones and diet the amount needed per month can vary drastically. Additionally, if she wants to change anything about it, she has to have an in-person appointment with her endocrinologist. Due to COVID, she'd need a doctor's recommendation to see one, and the company takes their sweet-ass time getting back to her. She's had the insurance for 6 months and hasn't yet been able to see an endocrinologist. Your sentiment and advice is good, but the reality is that the restrictions in how they're handled by healthcare providers is even worse in some areas of the US than you may think. Actually, there are several different types of insulin on the market that have slight variations in the structure of the insulin. For simplicity's sake, there are 3 types of insulin: Fast-acting, short-acting, and regular. Long-acting works for 24 hours and is taken daily regardless of what you do during the day. Short-acting is taken before meals and dosage is based on how much you eat and what your blood sugar is. Short-acting and long-acting are used in conjunction with each other to cover background insulin in meals. Regular human insulin, Walmart insulin, is kind of in the middle and is taken by itself. I've never used it, so I'm not 100% sure on how it's used. The issue with the Walmart insulin though isn't that it turns into poison, but that dosing is very difficult when you haven't used it before, and getting low blood sugar from insulin can be deadly. Same here. Side note, whenever I hear nursing reps on the news asked about how are you holding up, and they respond with some variation on we're continuing to do our job and we aren't burnt out yet but it's coming, and that we're optimistic, fuck that. We are beyond burnt out. We're quitting our jobs. We're fucking livid this is still going on, and that so many young people are jammed into our ICUs and IMCs where they may die. Like, tell it how it is. The public should know. The staff at hospitals are not a limitless well of hope and hard work. We're normal people and we're angry at our patients for being so anti-vax when they come in, having a change of heart, and leaving. Ugh, it's just forking much. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds beyond frustrating. It is crazy to me that people hear stories like this from people working in hospitals but still decide it's the nurses who are lying. Last year people didn't believe ICUs were full or that COVID patients actually had COVID. Now, the new conspiracy is that all of the ICU patients are vaccinated. Of course there will be some here and there, but they aren't the majority. One of my close friends is a nurse, has seen the pandemic firsthand, and her dad still thinks the whole thing is a hoax. I know it probably doesn't mean much, but thank you for your hard work and service. I used to avoid Red Bull and other energy drinks because they gave me anxiety, but now I'm getting into the habit of drinking them anyway at work to keep me going. I always crash really hard afterward and it sucks for my anxiety, but I love the taste and the fact that it doesn't make me feel like I'm gonna poop my pants how coffee does. It's a real love-hate relationship, and that's not even factoring in how hard it is on your body. Give it time. My husband used to be fine with energy drinks, and out of nowhere they started making him almost actually shit his pants. He's a mail carrier and for a stint was going to an office an hour away to help out. He would pick up an energy drink on the way and kept having near-miss emergencies. He blamed my cooking, was asking me to take extra precautions with cleanliness and such. I actually figured it out, not him. Insult to my cooking, will ya? Greater than. Every day I have to walk into my safety hazard of a freezer at work. One of these days I will slip and fall and break something. It's so fucking badly organized, and the floor is always covered in crunched ice from bags and bags of ice we sell in the aisles, which then gets stuck in the bottom of my slip-resistant shoes, which means my feet become coated in enough ice to create my own DIY ice skates, which means all it takes is one careless step while holding a box and I'm toast. I have complained to everyone higher up than me about it. Best response I got: some anti-ice salt tossed in general area. I consume multiple cups of dihydrogen monoxide every day. It can cause corrosion of metals or can cause bloating in the human body. Its basis is the highly reactive hydroxyl radical, a species shown to mutate DNA, denature proteins, disrupt cell membranes, and chemically alter critical neurotransmitters. The atomic components of DHMO are found in a number of caustic, explosive and poisonous compounds such as sulfuric acid, nitroglycerine and ethyl alcohol. I feel you on this. For me, stress is a primary driver, and gestures at the last 2 years. Also, I find out some of the best intel at the smoking area, pre-COVID, about what's really going on at our company. Now, it's a good reason to step away from my desk and stop thinking about work for a bit. I've tried several times. Longest no smoking stint was a month and a half, halted by a stressful situation at the apartment, pre-COVID, where a contractor busted the drain line for our upstairs neighbor's AC, then having to supervise them fixing it and repainting the closet, only to have them cause another leak when they replaced our AC and did the same damn thing, left off the drain line. I want to quit, but everything is so stressful. I used to make donuts as a living. I had to regularly test them to make sure I had the batter and everything else right. I'd just take a bite and throw the rest of the donut away, but that shit adds up. Eventually I was disgusted every time I had a bite. I had to force myself to eat it, and it fucking sucked. Imagine taking a bite of the food you hate the most, regularly, every workday. I still totally could tell whether I had everything right and did great quality control, but fuck, I hated it. I absolutely cannot stand donuts anymore, and it's been nearly 10 years since I left that job. So, get a job as a donut maker and you will grow to fucking absolutely hate donuts.